Most people don't know that there are grants and free money for their rent in their apartment and for their home as homeowners. And most people struggle with managing their money to buy their first home or buy a duplex home. So in this video, I'm going to show you both. I'm going to talk to you about how to find rent grants and grants that you can actually use for your rental as a renter and also for your home as a homeowner. And we're also going to show you how to manage your money to buy your first home and buy your first duplex. Let's get started. Hey everyone, I'm Rinde from AskRinde. So as a real estate investor and real estate agent here in New Jersey for the last 20 years, I've seen many people struggle with their personal finance, how to manage their money to buy their first home or their first duplex. I've seen clients pre-approve for a mortgage, and when it's time to close, they're not able to close on the property because they don't have a good handle on how to organize their personal finance. So when they actually repull their credit prior to closing, they get denied and they go through all the entire process, their hopes up, hoping that they're going to close on the house and get the keys, only to actually get denied, that they cannot get the underwriter to approve them to buy the house. So I created this tool to keep it simple. Just plug in your numbers to know exactly where you are and where you need to be. And this is the same tool that we use in our rent-to-own calculator. So whether you rent and your name is on a lease or you own a home, there are grant programs and free money around the country to be able to help you with your rent as well as your home. If you'd like us to cover your city and your state, make sure you drop your city and the state in the comment section below so we can make sure that we cover you. So in New Jersey, there's a relief grant called the NJ Anchor program. This is free money if you rent or you own. So for renters, you can get between $400 and $700 if your name is on the lease. And I'm going to give you the criteria to qualify for that program. And if you're a homeowner and you own a home, you qualify for $1,200 in this grant program. So first thing, you're going to have to verify your identity through ID.me. And for renters, if you follow this criteria, you could qualify for between $400 to $700 for your apartment. Number one, you must be a leaseholder or your name added to a lease. Number two, you must have been in the same address since October 1st of 2024. Number three, you must provide a copy of your license. And finally, number four, you must provide your NJ 1040 or your income for the last year so they can actually verify your income and also to actually reflect to see if taxes were paid. These programs actually heavily focus on the fact that you can't be delinquent in taxes and receive these funds. So you must be current on your taxes. If you file income taxes, you must be current. And if you're a homeowner, you have the ability to access up to $1,200 that they're going to give you for your home. But you must meet the following criteria. Number one, this must be your primary residence. So they're not giving this money out for secondary homes or ancillary homes. And number two, you can't apply for the NJ Anchor program if it's a commercial property, specifically a property that's 1 to 4 units that actually includes commercial space. They won't actually approve you, or they won't absorb your application if you file and your property type fits that criteria. Number three, condo owners can apply for this. You just have to actually prove and show that you've also paid taxes. So here's the application link. The deadline is October 31st. You can actually apply if you're a renter for between $400 to $700. And if you're actually a homeowner, you can apply for $1,200 for your home. Now, if you're planning on buying a property or interested in a rent-to-own home, I see so many people make this mistake, and I don't want you to make that mistake. So you need to learn how to get your personal finances in order. We started this process many years ago when we started to level up and look at not only buying a primary residence, but I actually started before I was married. So I started to actually organize myself and know that I needed to put certain things in place with my credit and also my utilization of my credit as well as my finances so that I can actually start to rinse and repeat and play Monopoly with real estate. And so when you're actually going to actually buy your first home, whether it's a starter home or you want to actually start via a rent-to-own home, it's important to actually plug and play and know exactly what your finances are looking like and start to actually work within a framework of order. You know, God cannot bless disorder. So it's very important for you to actually get in order. So we created our rent-to-own calculator to be able to help you to actually just simply plug in the information and actually start to be able to get an idea of where you are. And you can actually use this rent-to-own calculator to know what to offer on a house. Many times when people go to purchase a property, we work with many clients, and the biggest decision is, what do I offer? So many times you may have an asking price out there on a house, and that's what the seller wants. But what the seller wants doesn't mean that that's what the seller is going to get. It's the buyer's decision to make the best decision that's going to be in their best interest for their future by making the right choice, by putting in that right number. Sometimes you can actually make a grave mistake by offering too much for the property. And ideally, you want to be able to actually go into a real estate transaction with no emotion, because it's a calculated decision. You make your money with real estate when you buy. So you have to make sure that you're working with the right agent and also making the right decision when it comes to making the right offer amount. So we created our 3-in-1 budget template, which includes our rent-to-own calculator. So as you can see, everything is sectioned off to make it easy for you to actually simply plug in the number so you can make the best decision for your best interest. So as you can see, under the property listing, the list price, that's where you would actually plug in the number. That's where you would actually plug in the asking amount for the property, what the seller is asking for the property. Under that, the listing date. Always keep in mind that it does play a factor how long the property has been sitting on the market. So in some cases, if the property has more DOM or days on market, you're actually more advantage when it comes to making offers on those homes, because it shows that there's a leeway or there's more buyer opportunity because there are not too many other competitors rushing to the house. So when it's more a one-on-one situation with a seller, it's always ideal for you, because when you don't have competitors to fend off, you're not going to overbid for the property. I don't encourage my clients to go for bidding wars, and I think that is not advantageous, especially for the buyer on the buyer side, where you're actually pitting yourself against someone else. You can keep driving the price up, and properties are very expensive. There's many more things outside of just a mortgage payment that you have to cover when it comes to a house. So you need to make sure that you're buying that property for as lean as possible, so that you don't put yourself in a place long term where you actually regret it years down the line. So on the other side, we see where our offer price is. So as I shared earlier, you always want to offer whatever an offer that would be for your best interest, and that would be coming together with your agent if you're working with a real estate agent, and also making the best decision as to what to offer based on all the circumstances, what the seller is asking, how long the property's been on the market, the condition of the property, the location, the appreciation. We like to look at many things, from the price to rent ratio. We look at the price per square foot in the area. We look at the appreciation in the area. We also look at migration patterns. We look at the influx of people coming in and flowing out. And we actually go through this in our rent-to-own workshop, where we talk to you about how to strategize of how to offer on homes. This could be your primary residence. This could be a duplex. This could be an investment property. We actually want to make sure we help you to get and calculate the right ARV, or after repair value, if you're making a property, you're going to be doing a flip, or if you're buying a property, you're going to be doing capital improvements to stay in it. There's such a thing as actually over improving a house, and that's something you don't want to do either. You don't want to buy a property and then put too much upgrades into it where it would actually never appreciate to that amount, or never appreciate to the investment that you're making. So there's a balance, and that's why this calculator is so important in order to be able to help you, give you a guide of how to properly manage your money so that you can actually get and make the right decision when buying a house. So in the property section, you're able to plug in the number of bedrooms, the bathrooms. Those will play a factor when it comes to how much the property is worth. Obviously, when you're buying a property, you want to use an appraiser. The appraisal will actually give you an idea of what the property is worth. And many times they factor in not only the bedroom count, they factor in the condition of the kitchen, the bathroom, etc., as well as the square footage. So all of this is actually included there. And as I did share earlier, the price per square foot is an easy way and a good way for you to be able to calculate what an area and what a property is worth. So if you're going and you're buying a property, and as you can see, the square footage here is 2,650, but the price per square foot in the location is $260 per square foot, then that means that the going price for this particular property will be around $689,000. Give or take. Of course, you have to actually make allowances for the condition of the property, the location, and also if you have competition. So you plug in the square footage of the property. You also want to plug in the year built. So in some cases, the property values will be dictated upon the year built. If it's an older property, you may pay less. If it's a newer property, you're going to pay more. So for parents that are actually looking for good school systems, we actually also have an area for a cumulative school and the rating, because these all go into your decision in order to be able to decide whether or not to buy in that area based on your family's needs and wants. Now, when it comes to your financing, which is very important, We give you an entire framework to be able to help you to organize your finances, your personal finance. Now, many times based on your credit standing, your lender will actually assign an interest rate to you after they pull your credit, and also based on your down payment. So in many cases, if you're going to be paying less than 20% down when you're buying a property, you will have something called PMI, or private mortgage insurance. So outside of the 4 parts of your mortgage payment, which is your principal, your interest, your taxes, and insurance, you're also going to have a payment accumulated for PMI. And that's based on the fact that you're putting less than 20% down. So they actually take out insurance on the mortgage to ensure the fact that this is extra insurance that they have on you being able to repay that loan. So your APR is going to be your interest rate, and your loan to cost is going to be a percentage based on that. So you also have your loan amount. So your loan amount is what you're offering on the house less your down payment. So if you're putting 3% down, you would subtract that from your offer amount, and you would actually get your loan amount to plug in here. So we've also included a line item for your loan fees. This is going to be later in the transaction when you start to actually get exactly what the lender will charge. Sometimes the lenders do charge points, and they have to make money. So in some cases they may charge you a point or two. But once you get the entire loan amount and your fees, you would actually plug that in here. These are all separate from closing costs. These are not factoring in other things such as insurance and other things that you're going to have to pay, such as the home inspection. We do encourage to do a soil line check as a part of that home inspection. You also want to do a tank sweep if you're in the Northeast. And in addition to that, other things such as taking out insurance. You have to get homeowners insurance. The lender will require that. And in some cases, when you're buying a house, the homeowners insurance will have to be paid a year in advance. So you need to be aware of that. These are all part of closing costs and ancillary monies outside of your down payment that you need to have available so that you can actually buy a house. So your cost to close section is going to include your down payment, your closing costs, and also your capital expenditures. So these are where you forecast looking at the house, going through the home inspection, walking through the house, and you're saying, well, what do you think that you may need, and estimating that based on what the home inspector is telling you. Maybe you bring a contractor with you so they can tell you and give you an idea of how much it may cost, or what you may have in capital expenditures after you buy the house, in order to bring the house up to standard that you either like, your family likes, or a standard that would actually help you to meet your needs of what you want the property to be at from an aspect of your level of living, your quality of living. So whatever that number is, will give you an idea of what is called the ARV, or the after repair value. So you can actually also plug that in here. And in some cases, you can actually go to Zillow just as a general rule, because the Zestimate on Zillow will give you kind of an idea, not a specific and a precise number. An appraisal will give you that, but the Zestimate will give you a rough idea of what the property may be worth after you repair it. So you have the ability to plug in your after repair value there. And also when the lender's appraisal comes back to you, you can plug that in there as well to be able to get a truer value of what the property is worth. And you'll be able to know what you're walking into. If you're going to be walking into the property with equity, we also have a section here where you'll be able to know the immediate equity that you're walking into the house with, coupled with the value appreciation that you are getting from the market by talking to your agent, asking them, how much did this market appreciate? What do I expect this property to be worth in 5 years, 10 years? They'll give you that. You can plug those numbers in. Another key factor that I always tell people, and that is whether you're buying a house for yourself to live in, or you're buying an investment property like a duplex, you really need to know what the rental market is and have a best guess. So whatever that is, you can plug that in, and also look at what the market is. Go to Zillow, Redfin, or speak to your agent to get an idea of what the going rent would be for a single family house, or if it's actually a duplex and their apartment has 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, whatever those bedroom counts numbers are, there is actually a market rent for 2 bedrooms. There's a market rent for 3 bedrooms. There's a market rent for 4 bedrooms, and you really need to know that because you're making an investment with real estate. So you want to make sure that you're buying correctly. Buying correctly means that you know what the rents are, you know what the property is going to appreciate, an idea how the market is trending upward or downward. Many times when we make investments, we do not make investments in areas with a population of less than 20,000. We do not make investments in areas where the market is in a decline. We do not make investments in those areas because ultimately it's going to come back to bite us, it's going to hurt us. We also don't make investments in areas where the price to rent ratio, or it doesn't have a strong rental market. So these are all things that you have to take into decision when you're going to buy a house, whether it's going to be a rent-to-own property, whether it's going to be your primary residence or an investment property. You have to look at all those factors. And this rent-to-own calculator will really help you to be able to get things dialed in so you know exactly where you are and what you're working with when you go before you place an offer on the house. So we also have a purchase decision breakdown section. We also have a grants section where there are many grants available that you can actually source and plug and apply for. Some cases on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis, everything that helps to be able to help you offset your expenses, your living expenses on a monthly basis, whether you're a renter or you own a home, or you're an investor and you own multiple properties. So you can plug in your down payment, you can plug in your income, you can plug in your expenses, you can plug in your grants, you can also plug in your reserves, you can plug in your debt servicing, because you're going to have to service any debt that you take on. Specifically as a homeowner, you need to know what your monthly flow will be. You can plug that in here. You can also plug in what cash flow you have coming in and get a picture. If you do this properly, you can not only get one property, but you can set yourself up to be able to get into the property, and then through time, position yourself to be able to get another one and just keep going, and ultimately get to a point where properties are actually paying for you and you're living for free. And that's ultimately where you want to be. The whole goal for all of this is for freedom. And so in some cases, some people who actually are going for rent to own because they can't buy right now or get a mortgage right now, they go through this process and they use our rent to own calculator to be able to get themselves in a place where not only getting into a home now sooner than later, but also getting access to grants so that when they go to buy, they have those free resources and that free money to help them offset their closing costs, offset their actual living as far as monthly living in the property, and much more. So these resources are all available, and we go through details in our rent to own workshop where we're going to be sharing more with you of not only programs that are available, free grant monies that are available for renters as well as homeowners, but also how to actually analyze these properties. When you're going to offer a house on a house, when you're going to put an offer on a house, you need to know how to analyze it, whether it's going to be for your primary or for an investment. Properly analyze it, plug in the numbers, see if it makes sense, and get an entire picture of what you should be offering and make the right decision. So I'll be showing you how to manage and organize your personal finance, how to use the rent to own calculator to step-by-step find homes as well as rent to own homes for you and your family. I'll also show you our deal analyzer as well as our personal budget and debt payoff calculator, which is actually our 3-in-1 budget spreadsheet and template. So we'll be using our 3-in-1 budget and rent to own calculator and showing you how to actually plug in not only your finances to keep your credit utilization where it needs to be, but also how to position yourself to grow your income as well as manage your finances to be able to buy the best homes for the best price. We're also going to be talking about how to find rent to own homes in your city using secret filters that you can actually use to be able to filter and find out how to locate these properties, how to find deals on homes in great locations that are going to fit all the criteria to be able to help you get mortgage ready so that you and your family can move into your new home sooner rather than later. So I'd like to invite you to our rent to own workshop. You can actually join the workshop that we're going to be having this month. Simply click the link below and join the workshop, because we have real people buying real homes and moving into those homes now. So just imagine 12 to 24 months from now, you're no longer calling a landlord. You are now the landlord. You're the homeowner. You no longer have to actually call on someone and pay them by the 1st, or to avoid getting a late fee by the 5th. You're actually a homeowner, and it's an entire different process when you actually own versus renting. So it's easy to get started from going from renting to owning. So as I shared earlier in the video, if you'd like us to cover your city and your state, make sure you drop your city and the state in the comment section below so we can make sure that we cover you. And if you'd like to see an actual property and what it looks like and a step-by-step process of how it works, make sure you watch this next video. And if you have any questions, you can actually reach out to me anytime. My email address is AskRindeNetwork@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.